talk about something interesting. Should you be the bottleneck of the business because you're no longer delegating anyone? Because whenever you delegate somebody, the efficiency of the role drops, or they give you ambiguous reasonings, and the speed is just so slow, and you sometimes delegate bad hires or whatever. So you try to learn everything yourself and keep control, but it's restricting your output. Or should you, on the other hand, hire people, delegate it to others at the expense of making mistakes or whatever, right? This is like one of the most common issues that business owners face on a regular basis. I have personally faced it a lot. And I think the answer, and like you'd find people who give you generalistic answers, like always delegate. And then you find others which are like always control everything. And normally it's a hybrid. But let me try to be specific with that because I'll give you frameworks to think it through. My personal opinion, or what I personally do, is you don't have to be an expert in every single thing, but you need to know enough of it that you can delegate it effectively and supervise it effectively, especially if you're owner. And I would add a third variable here, which is pick the skills that are high leverage. If they're important to the business, definitely learn something or have a basic level of understanding in them, even if it takes you a couple of weeks or something, right? And most of us can learn most concepts very easily. You live in the 21st century, don't be a dinosaur. Um, so for example, recently we were developing AI products and stuff. This is me just giving a personal example. I noticed that when I was hiring developer, most of them didn't felt as smart or didn't have the exact clarity on the vision or weren't articulating the answers on how we are going to build something the way I wanted them to. Probably because most of them hadn't, like AI and building AI apps and systems is something new. So luckily I got to experience this firsthand, but um, they had the technical know-how, they didn't know how to develop it. I had to spend so I ended up spending 2 weeks going through a bunch of AI books and systems and mock developing some of them my own and watching a bunch of tutorials and trainings until I had enough of an information that I could now delegate them and tell them what to do. I could tell them I want the memories to be built like this, the decision-making frameworks to be built like this. We need to use these Grok API, the Grok with a Q. We need to use those TPUs to improve the reasoning speed because we are making things too complex and whatever database we are using and stuff. So I learned like pretty much most of the development foundations. I didn't learn the exact coding language. I learned what it does, how to make it work, which one is better, which one is not, how the entire system works. So I had enough of an idea that I can get them to do the specifics. Same for marketing. I know enough of it. That was my strength. Sales, similarly. Now, many of these areas in your business are going to be core and they're going to be important, right? Have at least enough knowledge or expertise in it that you can monitor the people that you're delegating because quite unless you're really good at hiring and managing people, which often is a very difficult skill. And if you're starting your business, you probably don't know right now what a good hire looks like. And the last thing you want to do is just blindly get an agency and delegate everything to them, or get a software house and delegate everything to them. Because guess what? The software house, they're running your software, you become dependent on them, or they can delay it as much as want, or they can host everything on their servers or whatever, right? Same with marketing agencies. They can run through their ad accounts. They can make stupid excuses. Oh, whatever, your market is difficult. But if you've done some of it yourself and you can go inside and see the internal workings, you'll be able to control them. Same with sales. You can look at the sales calls and analyze if it's good or bad. Business strategy, whatever, operation managers. And you obviously get better at it, but this is like how I think the journey of a business owner plays out. I know this is a pain in the ass, but that's the price you pay for choosing this life. And it has its own benefits as well. But because whenever you're growing, you're going to do new things. And whenever you're doing a new thing, you won't know how it's done, right? So there will be complex problems, hurdles you didn't expect, and you need to solve it. So what do you do in that situation? Well, you start by making those mistakes, learning the things, learning the lessons. So whenever you're doing something new, in the beginning, I try to learn the lessons and have a budget or something set aside, which is like experimental phase or like something with zero expectations, just so I get a better feel for how this thing works. And then you can bring in and delegate people who are smarter than you, ideally, because you want people smarter than you. Um, and again, there's a balance because this advice is generalistic. This is like medium level when you're kind of growing moderately fast. They're not very strong deadlines you need to meet or something like that, right? And they're always trade-offs. But sometimes you might be in situations where you need to expand really fast. So you might have to bring people in without knowing how it works. And that's a risk you are taking. And maybe that first hire, if they're good, you will get the rewards and then you can learn alongside them in the process. If they're bad, you make those mistakes and you learn what a good hire looks like, right? Or sometimes you think they were a bad hire when they were good and you're looking at something new. Um, I know like many people say like not having enough information is more difficult than knowing everything. The thing is, most people, there's never enough information. You're never going to be perfect at something. Um, so you should still try to have as much control while maintaining the efficiency of the results and the targets you're trying to chase as you can. You don't want to, again, be the bottleneck where the business can't grow because you refuse to delegate because you want to do everything yourself and become an expert yourself. Yet, the business won't also grow if you delegate the wrong people and you don't know what's going on. So try to do both. It is difficult, but guess what? That's life. And that's the journey of an entrepreneur.